So, welcome everybody. I am going to share my screen and then I am going to hit play. Welcome to today. Oh, what is this? I'm going to continue sharing. Welcome to today's Food Freedom Impact Roadmap, presented to you by Punch Positive Movement. After today's Food Freedom Impact Roadmap, you will stop the cycle of food, guilt, and restriction. Learn how to eat in a way that stabilizes energy and your cravings. Understand a simple system for food freedom, no rigid meal plans. Feel confident making food choices again and walk away with a roadmap that you can start using immediately and feel better about versus any kind of yo-yo dieting or starting and stopping that media has programmed us with over the years. Now, I'm motivational speaker and coach, Lita Mae Badass Button. I have 45 amateur boxing matches, won the 2013 Light Welterweight Golden Glove Championship of Canada, International Kansas City Tournament, silver medalist in 2013, one-on-one as a professional. I have a background of a Bachelor of Sciences in nursing, and I began coaching full-time in 2016. And in 2017, I was voted Fab Female Health and Wellness of the year in Greater Toronto area. And most recently, since the fall of 2024, I've began motivational speaking as well. And I was voted out of 4,000 applicants into the top 100 in the Next Top Speaker tournaments, season 2 and season 3. And I was voted into the top 50 out of those competitors. So I'm not saying all this to impress you, but to impress upon you that I wasn't always this person. I wasn't motivational. I wasn't this go-getter fitness coach. In fact, at one point in time, before I became really passionate about helping women over 40 rebuild their strength and self-trust, and you can join that group there, I was this confused, low self-esteem, lack of confidence, low self-doubt young girl and woman. And because of these emotions and feelings, I found myself at the age of 22 getting out of a emotionally and abusive and borderline abusive relationship because I was pregnant and I didn't want to have my unborn child at that time perpetuating or having those kinds of negative influences in their life. And so at the age of 22, I found myself alone and pregnant. And at the age of 23, my son was born, and it was one of the most exciting, joyful, incredible times of my life. But less than a year later, just after he was 6 months old, he began getting what we call these funny little bruises. And these bruises were so funny, in fact, that Children's Aid Society actually thought I may be neglecting or abusing my son. And they showed up at my door one day, opened the door, Lita Mae Button. Yes. We've had a suspected report of abuse or neglect in your home. And I remember when that lady said that to me, that there was this cold sense of dread and fear that just trickled down my back and my heart dropped into my stomach. But I knew that I had done nothing wrong. And fortunately, the lady in Children's Aid Society have found that they felt the same way and didn't see any cause for concern. But I was left wondering, what the hell is happening to my son? And a few months later, we got the answer because we were referred to Sick Children's Hospital in Toronto. And my son was diagnosed with a rare and at times over the years, life-threatening blood disorder called hemophilia B. And so I really began to think that all life had in store for me was obstacles and sucker punches. But my bright and saving grace, which gave me hope and the ability to cope through all the obstacles, was boxing. And I began boxing because I had a lot of emotions that were not being dealt with. And I knew that I wasn't being the best role model for my son that I possibly could. And so I stepped into that boxing world and began competitively boxing because I wanted to be the number one role model for my son. And boxing gave me the ability to cope with hope and have that mindset that I can be able to overcome anything that I can. And so through facing one fear, one obstacle at a time, and keeping track of those little wins on a daily basis, I was able to overcome that self-doubt, low self-esteem, and really believe that I can do anything that I set my mind to and achieve anything that I set my mind to. And so, like I said at the beginning, I have 45 amateur boxing matches, winning the 2013 light welterweight Golden Glove Championship of Canada, two professional. And this is where I got nicknamed Badass Button because of my last provincial amateur bouts. I had friends and families that showed up that were cheering me on. And that boxing match got stopped by injury due to TKO, bloody nose injury to the girl that I was competing against. And a few days later, I was training one of my clients, and he kept saying to me, Bab, why are you doing this, Bab? Bab, why are you doing that, Bab? And I just kept wondering as he was saying this Bab word to me, why does he keep saying Bab? And I go, Jared, why are you calling me Bab? And he goes, don't you know? You're badass button. And I was like, oh, that is really cool because I've been called Beast and some other names in the gym before, but badass button sticks way better. I like that. And so throughout all these years and even through boxing, I got my Bachelor of Sciences in Nursing, uh, completed my registered nursing certification, and I began working in the nursing field through long-term care and geriatric mental health nursing. But what I found in nursing is that there was this revolving door, and I was so excited all the time to learn more education about becoming an athlete, health and wellness, nutrition, exercise sciences. So even as I was nursing and I was barely getting any sleep, I was still coaching and training people in the gym and helping them with their health and fitness. And because of this, I knew that there was so much more that could be done for a person's wellness besides giving them medication. And so I was like getting no sleep, was barely there for my son when he was little. He's at this time now in a drug trial through Sick Children's Hospital. So I had to have a lot of time and effort given, taken to the hospital for all the studies and needles and all the time that needed to be spent for him to be able to succeed at the study that I was like, you know what? I'm going to turn to coaching full time because I know at the grassroots level what health and fitness can truly do for people. And so that's what I did. And that's what I began coaching full time in 2016. And like I said, I was voted Fab Female Health and Wellness of the Year in Greater Toronto Area in 2017 because I was passionate. I was like, I've got all this knowledge, both in university, both in athletics. Let me pass it on. I've been coaching people since I was 16. Let's dive into this more. So, for those of you that are watching here, many people are not aware that by the time someone is at the age 60, they will be prescribed at least one pill to manage their declining health issues. And this is kind of shocking because A, there are a lot of things that can be done, and we're going to talk about that today a little bit more in terms of helping prevent this from happening. But what people are not aware is that adverse drug reactions are five times more likely to kill you than an actual automobile accident. So there's a bit of an ethical dilemma in North America with doctors prescribing medication because they don't necessarily, in Canada especially, they don't actually get direct kickbacks from prescribing medication. But doctors get bonuses and that for presenting about medications at conferences, recommending certain types of medications, and they also get help with medical bills and that, and well, is in their practice. So there's a little bit of a medical dilemma with doctors prescribing medication in North America. So today, in my punch positive method, we talk about the FIST. Okay, so the FIST method for your optimal health. So the F is we're helping you focus from a sense of fragility in your body to a sense of fierceness as you're aging with a better quality of life. Then we're talking about the impact, looking at your gut health specifically to impact your brain health and easy tips and tricks and implementation to help that impact. And that's what we're focusing on here today is that impact, hence the food freedom impact roadmap. And then the S is looking at your strength and helping improve your strength with low impact cardio and strength through boxing. And then T, okay, we're helping you go from survive with health and fitness to thrive by doing it all together because everything is better shared. So, my why that I shared already in my story was my son. I wanted to be the number one role model for him so that he would be able to know that A, that moms can do anything and they're strong, but also B, so that he had positive male role models to be surrounded with him as well in the boxing world. And now that I'm getting a little bit older, although I feel like I'll be 25 forever, though this September I'll be 25 for the 22nd time. My why now more to focus on my health is that better quality of life and be able to do everything that I want to do as I get older. And then when grandkids eventually come, be able to keep with that up with them and be able to pass down my legacy of health and wellness to them. So what is your why? Why are you here today? And if you're watching the recording, feel free to put it in the chat. Why are you here today, Lily? Can you hear me okay? It might be a little delay.
Oh, yes, I absolutely can. I wasn't sure. So I'm here so that I can age healthily and reclaim the energy or maintain the energy, I guess, as I go forward because I am 60 almost.
Aging is just like a fine wine. When we look after ourselves, it just can get better and better and better. So awesome. Thank you for sharing, Lily. Okay, so today we're going to talk a little bit more how our gut health impacts our brain health. So we're going to look at the gut brain connection. And what the gut brain connection is that our gut and brain is connected deeply through what's called, so we're going to get a little bit sciencey here, but I'll do my best because as a coach, I always like to keep things as simple as possible, especially for those that are not so scientific, to help you understand how it impacts your life. So, like I said, our gut is connected to our brain. And what that means is that our gut and brain is deeply connected through this nerve called the vagus nerve. So, essentially, this nerve runs from our belly all the way to our brain. So, what we put in our stomach, in our digestive system, affects that nerve and how it's communicating to one another. So, our gut is also called our second brain because of this nerve and the way it communicates to each other. So, when we eat, how our mood is, how we think, how our emotions are, is directly impacted by what's going on in our stomach. And so 90% of serotonin, which is that feel good hormone, you think about those happy good hormones, that's produced in our stomach. So when we have a healthy gut, we have a better mood, we have improved focus, and we have better emotional stability. So I can speak from direct experience to this because a couple years ago I had massive burnout. And I never, even everything that I went through with my son and everything going on when I was younger, I never had burnout. And if you've not really ever sure what burnout is, I would describe burnout. I don't know the exact definition of it here. I don't have it in front of me, but I would describe burnout is like massive fatigue, and it just feels like the world is melting and you want to melt down each and every day you wake up you're just trying to survive. But I knew from everything that I was doing, A, I was overextending myself in my in life, everything that I was doing, but also B, I had massively changed my eating habits in the couple years in moving, and I was not aware of that. I was, even though I wouldn't say I was an alcoholic, but I was drinking a little bit too much here and there. I was eating more processed packaged foods, and I was eating more high glycemic index foods. And so by really, and also I was thinking negatively about certain things that were happening in my life. But the main thing that I really focused on first was removing all those inflammatory foods that were impacting my gut because I knew it was also impacting my brain health. So I know firsthand in terms of how that exactly feels because I never felt that before. So these are the neurotransmitters and that. So the serotonin are those neurotransmitters that is uh, impacting your brain. So we're looking at now as well as how our gut health controls our inflammation. So poor gut health creates increased inflammation throughout our body, which can lead to increased anxiety, increased brain fog, increased depression, and a cognitive decline. So this is why it's even more important as we get older because I'm gonna share a little story. So when I was in nursing school, and in the first couple like first month of nursing school, we do all the geriatric stuff. So my nursing instructor is at the front of the room and she says, as you get older, your eyesight declines. As you get older, you start losing muscle. As you get older, it's harder to balance. As you get older, it's harder to remember things. I remember putting my hand up and going, ma'am, can you please tell us like what is good about getting older? Because it sounds pretty darn depressing. She said, well, we get wiser. And I said, okay. But my point of the story is that this is why it's even more important to focus on our gut health as we get older, so it decreases our inflammation and it helps boost our cognitive impact. Now, we're going to look at the blood-brain barrier for protection. So this is if we're looking at our gut health, because as we get older, our gut health naturally starts to deteriorate, right? So everything starts to wear down on our bodies, okay? And I'm trying not to be like this, making it sound very depressing here because there's lots that we can do, and this is why we're here having the education. But that's just a natural fact of life. Our body is similar to a machine that the more we use it, right, the more that it gets older, the more that we essentially can lose it. And this is why it's important to use it and use it very effectively and healthily with the nutrition that we put into our body as well as exercise. But here today, we're just focusing on the gut. Okay, so when our gut health deteriorates, the lining in our stomach becomes more damaged and we can get higher increased risk for leaky gut. What are you sharing with me, Lily? Now, where's my
You're getting wiser.
okay, wiser, okay. Okay. So we are getting wiser. So with the gut, if we get increased inflammation and when we have leaky gut, we have increased blood-brain barrier, where it impacts things get into our brain easier than when our gut is not leaky. This leads to heartburn, it leads to brain fog, it leads to all those things that I mentioned there before. But as well as our immune system. So it's very important. The healthier our gut, the healthier our immune system, the more we can recover, the more we can be resilient on a day-to-day basis in our everyday lives, the more we can fight off all the germs. Okay, not just fight off all the germs, but if we do get germs like viruses or bacteria, when our immune system is stronger, we can heal faster. So this is why it's very, very important. And all of that lives in the gut. Um, and so it also affects our gut health, also affects how we absorb nutrition. So the healthier our gut is, the more when we eat healthier, the easier our body absorbs that nutrition and the more energy that we'll have on a day-to-day basis. So our vitamins like vitamin B, magnesium, healthy fats, our body will absorb it better. Whereas poor digestion reduces nutrient absorption and decreases brain performance. And we have lower energy levels. And also, it leads to increased stress, cortisol, and amplifies our decreased gut bacteria or like poor bacteria in our body, right? So, what medication does to our gut is that it damages our gut health. So, and not saying that there isn't a time and place for medication, because there is. I mean, there's a reason why we as humans live longer than throughout any other era. Technology, antibiotics, all those things have really helped us so we can increase our longevity of life. The issue becomes when we are essentially abusing and overprescribing these things. And that is why I'm talking about this here today. Because instead of looking at your diet, meaning proper nutrition, and I don't mean diet like yo-yo, keto, all this kind of stuff. I mean healthier, balanced eating, and our exercise and decreasing the amount of antibiotics that were prescribed, the better our gut health will be, right? Because the more medications that we have, the more is a sense of stress in our stomachs that occur with medication. So there's a term called oxidative stress. So oxidative stress occurs from our environment, from our medications, and from a lack of nutrition and lack of movement in our life. So we want to always, as much as possible, decrease the amount of oxidative stress that we're letting into our body and that is around our body because we also absorb it. And so medications also damage our gut health and damage the lining to our gut health. So it's really, really important when we are taking certain kinds of medications that we make sure that we ask all the correct questions with our doctor when they're prescribing it. What are the side effects? Is there something else that I can do before starting to take this medication? Why are you prescribing this certain amount of dosage? So, for example, I work with a lot of people, a lot of clients that have Parkinson's. They have the number one medication that they do first is levodopa. And I always say to my clients who have Parkinson's that come to train with me first, kudos to you because high intensity exercise, specifically the boxing, really gives you that natural dopamine dump and helps you teach your body longevity wise versus the levodopa. And it's not to say that you shouldn't be on levodopa, it's a different journey for each person that comes along. But the more that you can take those non-invasive routes, like boxing for Parkinson's, the longer you'll have to offset you taking that medication. And if you are taking that medication, how much medication are you taking? What are the side effects that it's going to be? Is there an alternative route, like I said already, that you can do? Or is there a minimum dose that we could do? So make sure that I understand my body and how it's impacting my body before we put that medication up. Because you are in control of your body. That is very, very, very important. No matter what somebody else says to you, it's you that lives in your body, which is your home 24/7. So it's most important that you advocate for what's best for your body. Okay, now medications also impact nutrients absorption. So it's very, very important to make sure that this is the right step for you and you're advocating again because medications are impacted and vitamins are impacted into absorbing when you're taking those medications, such as B12, magnesium, and calcium, and zinc, which is very important for people as they're getting older, especially with restless leg syndrome, because that can happen if you have arthritis or you have Parkinson's as you get older. So, understanding how the medications impact those vitamin absorption. And low levels of nutrients can also lead to fatigue, like I said already, restless leg syndrome, inflammation, and decreased, most importantly, number one tool in our body, brain function. Okay, so poor gut health and increased medication decreases nutrients absorption, increases fatigue and inflammation, and then it becomes a cycle. There another medication that the doctor might prescribe, and then your gut health worsens further. So we're looking here at the root cause of why this is happening today and not just the symptoms and putting a band-aid thing over top of the symptoms. So we're looking at the root cause. We're going to look at how our body reacts to food, or why do we want to eat? We want to eat obviously because we want to live, but in today's society, we are overfed and undernourished. We have obesity that is rampant, and I'm not looking at obesity as a what is the word I'm looking for? Body image. I'm looking at obesity as health because health is your wealth. So it is important that we look at this from a health factor, not because we want to look good in the mirror. Not that that isn't nice because I love training people and I love training the booty, especially and how to punchy. But, and it's always good when you walk away from the mirror and you look at yourself like, damn, I look good. But that is not the basis of our life as we get older. We want to have good quality of life so we can go hiking, so we can play with our grandkids, so we can have fun, so we can stay up on that dance floor and be like, woo, woo, I partied with my besties all night. But why is it that we overeat? Although I put up my slide that kind of gives the answer already.
My slide hasn't changed.
Hasn't changed?
No, I'm still looking at 90% of actions come from our subconscious mind.
Yes. This is it. So that is why.
Okay,
Gave
perfect.
the answer. Thank you for giving the answer.
No
We are
problem.
not aware of why we want to eat so much and why we want to eat all the things that don't really serve our health. One of the things I read years ago when I read the book Eat, Stop, Eat was that this blew my mind. This was an aha moment for me. We are bombarded in less than a week between 50,000 to 60,000 marketing messages about eating a treat, whether that be a burger, whether that be a donut, whether that be like a mocha choca woka whatchamacallit coffee that has all that cream on top of it. And all of this stuff gets programmed into our subconscious mind. And if you're not aware of what the subconscious mind is, your subconscious mind is that mind that makes choices without you being aware. So if all of a sudden you're like, oh my gosh, I'm really, really hungry, and you're reaching for that donut, often it's that subconscious mind that's saying, you know what, I deserve that treat, I'm going to eat it, which often has to do with programming. Now, programming doesn't just come from the media. And I can speak from personal experience, especially what just happened when I came back from my trip or was in my trip in the Philippines. It's also from culture. You know, culturally, depending on what culture you grew up with, it'll be like, eat, it'll make you feel better. Eat. You're feeling low, you had a breakup, eat that ice cream, it'll make you feel better. You're eating your emotions. Okay? And there's always a time and place for treat and celebration in that, but when we're doing it on a regular basis, instead of eating for nutrition, but eating for emotions, this is how it becomes a disconnect and a problem and an understanding. And I speak from first experience because I just came back from a trip in the Philippines and I had to laugh because we were constantly fed 24/7 everywhere we went, even though our fridges were overflowing with food already when we were in places that we were staying. It was like, here, take this with you. And when we were leaving, here, take this with you. And I jokingly said to my aunt and my mom, who are full-fledged Filipino, I said, ah, okay, the Philippines' love language is food. Because if you go to somebody's house and they prepared a like, we're talking about 12 course spread, this is just their light lunch and you don't eat something, it's considered rude. So again, that's the cultural influence. I have a good understanding of what I need for my body, so I didn't eat, I ate very well, but I ate all the things there that I knew would impact my stomach. So it's just one of those ways to help you understand that media and your culture and how you may have been raised with food is also impacting your subconscious mind. So that's a little bit about how your mind impacts your eating. Now, because many of us are not aware of our subconscious running our conscious, meaning the actions that we actually take, this is one of the things that I do with my clients when they first looking at their eating because it's not about should, could, would. I'm not about shoulding on you. I think it's not healthy for us to should on ourselves. It's about rewiring that positive relationship to food. So this is one of the ways that we do it. So what you're doing is we're making the unconscious conscious. And you want to do this ideally for 7 days. If you really struggle with your relationship with food, I have some clients that are doing this fairly regularly because they slip back into those unconscious patterns that they're not aware of. You're looking at the day time that you're eating, you're looking at the food that you're eating, you're looking at how you're feeling before you eat, take a little bit of time if you have the time and everybody's working. And some people are not working. Half my clients are not working because some people are retired. After, you're looking at how you feel after, and you're looking at your overall emotional feelings. Okay, because then we're understanding a little more clearly how our subconscious may be running our everyday programming and we rewire that relationship to that food and make the unconscious conscious so that we can take the positive actions to rewire more healthier relationship to food. What happened to my slide? Hold on one second. There's something here. We are getting wiser. I just saw your screen. We are getting wiser. Thank you,
We're
Liz.
getting wiser. And I have used your sheet and it's been working.
You have, say that again. Where did
I've been using your sheet and it's been working.
Awesome.
Be very like accountable to myself and but in a mindful way, not in a like judgmental way. So it's like, oh, look at this. I'm doing this. And it's because I'm feeling like, oh, I just had a great success. I need a reward. I deserve a reward. Oh, I'm having crap day. Oh, I need to feel better. I think I'll have an ice cream. And I'm like, now that I'm like more tuned into that, I'm finding I am being more aware and conscious. And therefore, I'm like, wait, why am I thinking this? I am having success. I don't need to have this bag of chips or this ice cream or whatever else is talking to me at the time because they all have little voices.
They do have all little voices.
They go, hello, Lily, I'm here.
And it's important to understand where this voice is coming from, right? Like,
Mhm.
is this the voice that's serving me? Is this the voice that's supporting me in terms of becoming that healthier, empowering person that I want to grow into? Or is this voice that is from, voices, it sounds crazy. Literally, I worked in mental health, but we have a crazy amount of thoughts that run through our head each and every day. Some of those thoughts are supporting us, and some of those are not. And some of those
No,
thoughts,
some of them want us.
you just cut out there, Lily. Sorry, say it again.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I said some of them want to keep us in the same place, kind of locked in a never-ending circle of, okay, this is the way it is or was, and this makes you feel better. And so it's like, it's just like a little vicious cycle that doesn't seem vicious because it's motivated by erroneous rewards. And I'm learning that. And it's like, whoa.
That's amazing. That's amazing. And we are never to, what do you call it? It's the more that we're open to learning and the more that we're open to absorbing and learning, like in the Bible, it says, even though I've barely read the Bible, well, I've read the Bible in my life, which has been a long time. Know thyself. The more that we know ourselves and uncover ourselves, the more that we are able to help ourselves, the more we're able to help other people. So helping understand ourselves in health and fitness in a world where it's an epidemic now with unhealthy ways of being, the more that we're shining the light and helping others understand that way as well, especially with women who are 40, 50 above, because women's health has gone sorely unresearched over the years, let's just say. So we're spreading more and more light to it, spreading more and more light to it. Okay, so I just want to share a couple more things here, I think, if I figure out where my video went to. So again, figure out where my video went to. I thought I just had it. Jumping Jiminy's. Okay, I think. Give me 1 second and let me know if you can see the screen, even though my mouse now doesn't want to work. Technical difficulties. There we go. Okay. And I'm going to press play. Can you see the screen?
I absolutely can.
Oh, and not the one that I wanted. Okay. So this is what one of my Parkinson's clients, after working 12 weeks together. I'm 71. Have to improve my adrenal health. So to help control and improve my condition with Parkinson's. Have to improve my adrenal health. To help control and improve my condition with Parkinson's. Uh-oh, maybe I got this one-on-one conference chat that we have. So help me gave me more positive instructions to help me improve my relief from leg pain using different diet options and through exercise. It's the biggest thing has been to reduce the leg pain that I have in the back of my knees, and particularly my left knee, behind the left knee, and also to improve my sleep quality. Importance of stretching exercises each day, eating better with healthy food options, getting more energy, importance of vitamins in my diet, and generally a more positive outlook on my mental condition. So Stuart had been doing my group coaching for the last couple years, but he was really struggling with pain in his legs. And so working one-to-one, and we were looking at his nutrition and specific kind of exercises for 12 weeks, it really took his pain levels and understanding of how his food was impacting his pain levels and inflammation in his body. So, and we applied the principles that I went over here today in this food freedom impact roadmap. Oh, And I invite you, if you're watching this, to do a book a coaching clarity call to understand how your potential medications may be impacting your gut or your relationship with food, and your how exercise as well can help impact and give you more energy, trust your body better, build your strength, and be able to just love the home that you're living in, your body 24/7. So thank you so much for your time and watching this here today. Do you have any questions?
Well, I have a question, and I was wondering, in relationship to what you said at the very beginning, because I had heard about the vagus nerve and somatic breathing and that type of thing, but I didn't realize that your gut was your second brain, and the vagus nerve connected your gut to your brain. And sometimes when I get like stress, and it's like it manifests as a food craving, like severe, when I was working severe work stress, I would literally just crave boiled pasta. That was it. Nothing else, just that carbohydrate of pasta. And like I could taste it in my brain, like I could smell it in my brain even though I wasn't eating it. And like I'm wondering, like, is that like a manifestation of that connection of like what you were saying about subconscious and gut and brain, and that's why that uh, being more mindful is becoming so important and creating more resilience in me? Like, is that a concrete reason?
Okay, let me just make sure I heard you correctly. So when
Okay.
you were stressed,
Yes,
you were craving that pasta.
just
Just
pasta. Not
just
not like not a meal, like just like raw spaghetti. Well, cooked,
raw
but
spaghetti.
yeah,
And that
right.
only happened when you're stressed, and you're wondering if that's connected to the gut brain connection.
Correct.
Okay. I would definitely say yes. Because when and any other time that you were stressed, what was your reaction and what did you do
Well, like
leading up to
I'm
it?
thinking my gut and my brain have probably been connected since I was a little kid. Because if I was stressed about something at school, like in like junior high, for example, I'd get a tummy ache. Or even in kindergarten, I'd get a tummy ache. And I'm only now, as a person almost 60, um, recognizing, and it's clicking with me now listening to you during this webinar, that, you know, maybe this is just something I have had doing all of my life, and just thinking, okay, butterflies in my tummy is like a nervous feeling, and am I feeding it, and has it become what it has become to this point?
So it's become a subconscious thing.
Yes, that's what I'm thinking. And now that I can name it and I can see it through all the different steps you've presented, and all the different things I'm trying to do to reclaim some of my lost health and to regain a future of woohoo-ness, it's making sense. Like I'm actually being able to connect the dots, and so like I don't like to use coulda, woulda, shoulda. So I'm like, okay, let's connect the dots now and make whatever's going to be will be happy, joy, and positive. So, like, thank you for that. Like, I'm
Yeah,
just having
you're
like
very
light bulb eureka moments, and I'm able to ask you about this because it's like seriously, it's like little dominoes are falling around in my brain, going, oh, oh, oh.
And that's
So I
how we begin rewiring. Like when we're making that unconscious conscious, and you're like, oh, I'm aware of this now. Now I'm aware I can consciously make a choice, right? Like you're aware,
Yeah.
okay, this is kind of how my little girl reaction was. Even though I'm no longer that little girl, that empowered woman, I can make
Mm.
that choice now from the empowered woman that I'm stepping into, and that woman that I identify with. She makes healthier, empowering choices for her health. You know, I mean, um,
Yeah.
it becomes, when we reinforce that pattern, whether or not we're aware of it. So when we're stressed, you were reinforcing that pattern. When I'm stressed, I eat this food that's comfort. Okay. Now I feel less stressed. But then that becomes that association with stress. And those are the patterns that we bring into our life. For
Yeah.
me, when I was younger, and I'm not proud to say this, but it's like I had a coping mechanism with alcohol for quite some
Yeah.
time. And I've really had to no longer, like, it's not that don't completely drink, but I'm really, really conscious now. It's like if I have a drink, I have one drink because
Yes.
it is associated with coping. It's like, well, how can I cope better? Well, I can breathe. I can do cold water dipping. Okay. I can hit a heavy bag. I can lift weights. I can put on a nice dress and sing a song and dance around. Okay. It's like making those empowered choices in the specific circumstance. We're talking about our gut health, but it's all those messages that we're speaking to ourselves from a loving kindness way and making those conscious choices again from a loving kindness way. How am I supporting myself now in this moment to step into that identity of exactly who I want to be in the future? That's a whole other webinar, is the identity webinar, but we're just using that language because every day we're either evolving into that better version of ourselves, or we're staying the same and our bodies are going in a decline. We have to
Right.
life is dynamic. We have to dynamically take control of loving ourselves and empowering ourselves more. So I
Yes.
I
In
hope
the
that answered your
in
question,
the
Tony.
world, not just in our mind.
Exactly. In our everyday life. We are whatchamacallit. There's a little bit of feedback. You still there? I think she cut it. Anyways, wrapping up this food freedom impact roadmap. Okay, I'm gonna share in our chat the link to get the foods feelings choice chart, and I highly, highly, lovingly recommend that you map that out for yourself for a week, and then that will help you see all the unconscious to the conscious. Okay, motivational speaker and coach Lita Mae Button. Remember, movement is medicine. And boxing is the fastest path to that medicine. You guys rock for being here and watching. Have an amazing rest of your day. Ciao.